Welcome to WWE Trope Smackdown. In one corner, we have contraceptives that can be 70 to 90% effective. In the other corner, we have our book couple who has been raw dogging it for 200 pages and are surprised when the strip turns pink. Hello, welcome to my channel. I am a multi-genre independent author. One pen name, TR Slauf, for all things dark, gory, and depressing. The other pen name, Margaret Primrose, for all things romantic and swoon-worthy. Here on this channel, we talk about the book community and writing and publishing. Let's get started. All right, everybody, welcome to my latest installment in Trope Talk. Today we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, the pregnancy trope. Now, this personally is one of the tropes that I really don't like, so this is going to be testing me a little bit because I do firmly believe that if it is done correctly, any trope can be good. I do not subscribe to this narrative of certain tropes need to die or be removed from literature. I don't subscribe to that. So, this is a trope I hate. I have to talk about how it can work. Stay tuned for this roller coaster. All right, so the pregnancy trope can vary. All right, peeps. So the pregnancy trope can vary. It can be surprise pregnancy. It can be a planned pregnancy. It can be anything and everything. I think most commonly this trope gets a lot of hate when it is used as a surprise pregnancy. So what does that mean? It means that the couple in question is dating or they've had a casual fling and then whim bam bibbity bam, somebody's making a baby. So sorry. I'm gonna struggle with this video, so please bear with me. All right, so one thing, I really don't like the surprise pregnancy trope typically. There's many reasons I don't like it. I think one of my biggest issues with it is that I don't like the narrative of, oh, we don't like each other and we have all these relationship problems, but we should try to get it together and we fell in love just because we had a baby. I don't like that. Call me old-fashioned, but I think that you should try to plan these things, use the correct prophylactics when you're coupling with your couple to try to prevent these things until you know that you're ready to have a child with this other person. Now, I am aware prophylactics are not 100% effective. I understand that. I'm not trying to push a narrative that they always work all the time and accidents can't happen. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that it just kind of drives me nuts in books. Now, I know there are people who absolutely love this trope, and this is fine. I'm not here to judge you. I have noticed that a lot of the people that do like it are parents. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it reminds them of them getting pregnant or their love story, or maybe it reminds them of that feeling when they first realized that they were having a baby with their spouse, the love of their life. Maybe that's it. I don't know. My husband and I can't have kids because of medical issues, and we've decided not to adopt. So maybe my perspective is very skewed on this. I'm not super maternal. I have cats, and I'm very happy with my cats. So maybe that's part of it. I just outed myself really badly there, but maybe that's part of the reason I don't like the pregnancy trope. It could be a lot of different things, but I think the core of my dislike for it is that I'm not a fan of when couples get together just because they had a baby. I can respect that they want to do the responsible thing. They created a life. They now want to take care of it. That's what you should do if you're coupling as an adult. You need to take adult responsibility for the results. That's fine. I don't know. I just don't think it's very romantic to accidentally have a baby and then that's how you fall in love. But sure, it can happen. Not all of these books are supposed to be 100% realistic. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Sure, that can happen. You can definitely still fall in love, or maybe it's just very early in the relationship and you weren't planning on it. Something broke. You missed a pill. It can happen. Sometimes it's, oh, we still love each other. Things are just moving faster than we wanted. I think I'm more okay with those situations. And I can definitely understand how, like, romantic comedies or even a more serious romantic story can come from that. I'm not saying that it can't. I'm just saying I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. Now, there are some cases where I think the surprise pregnancy trope worked really well. There was one that I was reading where it was kind of a sci-fi alien romance, and what happened was is was actually a the alien was actually an experiment. So these people had been living on this planet that was not Earth for a couple 100,000 years, I think it was. And the early settlers were doing human genetic experimentation on a group of people that they were treating like slaves. And the result was that after several years of modification, they looked humanoid, but they were not humans. They could breathe underwater. They were very strong, but they had like low fertility issues. Lots of things that basically just made them a very controllable workforce. So basically they were bred to not be able to outbreed humans. They had a very low fertility rate on purpose for that. They were very strong. They were also very I think it was like group mind, like community based. They had a hard time thinking outside the box. Basically, I don't remember all of the details, but basically in this story, the human woman who was living on the alien planet, everyone thought these guys were just aliens. They thought that these other people were the original inhabitants of this planet that they colonized because the history of what the original settlers did to them was lost. It was stricken from record. And so when this woman ends up falling in love with one of these aliens, they have a baby and they don't realize they can. And her getting pregnant actually really furthers the plot line because then they realize we're actually both human at our core. And so I think that was really well done. And honestly, you saw it coming a mile away. It wasn't just like a bam out of nowhere, she's pregnant. There were definitely hints and foreshadowing. There was crazy amounts of foreshadowing in this book. So it didn't feel like it just came out of nowhere and clobbered you. And in addition to it, it really tied in with the plot of how the original human settlers on this alien planet were torturing these other people and, doing all these horrible experiments to them. So that case, I loved that one. I thought that was really well done and the way it tied in with the plot and the foreshadowing. So I think that combination made a really, really strong pregnancy trope in that book. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe a lot of people who read the pregnancy trope, they don't like it when it just comes out of nowhere. They don't like it when there's no hint to it. Because, like, I've read other books where they were all human and everybody was just having babies constantly. I knew it was coming. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep reading. I know it's coming though. I think if I was reading a book and there was absolutely no hint in the marketing or the foreshadowing that this was gonna happen, I think I would get a little irritated, to be completely honest. And I do think some of the people who don't necessarily like this trope, I do think it's kind of a response to the society expectations that all women want to be mothers. I think that there is a lot of pressure on, I think it's changing, but there is a lot of pressure on women starting from a very young age to have babies. I know I was getting crap about, oh, how many babies are you going to have when I was like a freshman in high school when that started for me. So I do think that there are a lot of expectations and pressure around women when it comes to getting pregnant and having children. So I do think that when they want to read their romance books to escape from reality and they're just constantly being clobbered with babies, they're gonna react negatively. And I do think that's part of where this dislike of the pregnancy trope is coming from. So I think, yeah, I think in this case, I think the pregnancy trope is not necessarily a bad trope. I think it's just one of those where it's very divisive because it's honestly not for everyone. There's a lot of people out there who love babies and want to have as many babies as they can, but they still don't necessarily want to read about it. Or there's people who can't have kids, and when they read about people having kids, it's like a slap in the face. And then there's other people who are just sick and tired of having grandma, aunties, moms, mother-in-laws, everybody hounding you about when are you gonna get pregnant? When are you gonna have babies? And so their reaction is to then shun anything and everything that has to do with it. So this is definitely one of those tropes where you either love it or you hate it. And I think there's a lot of different layers as to why you might hate it and why you might dislike it. Now, in my other trope videos, I have gone through and I've discussed the right way and the wrong way to handle the writing of that trope. For this one, I don't necessarily think that there is a right or a wrong way to handle the writing of it because people get pregnant, they get pregnant. That's how it goes. And if, especially if it's unplanned, there's going to be some drama, there's going to be some panic, you're not going to know how to handle it. And different people in real life handle that situation very differently. So I think that it makes sense that various characters in the books are going to handle it differently. I get it. There's not really any one right way to approach this. I do think, though, that your marketing needs to be done well. You need to let people know that there's going to be pregnancy in the trope, or you need to let people know that there is going to be pregnancy in the book, either through some very heavy foreshadowing or just have it in your blurb. Like if the whole book is about the surprise pregnancy, maybe have something at the bottom of the blurb that kind of hints to it. You don't necessarily have to go right out and say, oh, they get knocked up in the first 5 pages. That's not what I'm saying. I think for this trope, it really is more of a how you tell people about it before they start reading. And I know some people don't necessarily want to be spoiled. Like if it's supposed to actually be like a hardcore surprise, then that's very different. You're gonna have to do something very different for marketing. You can't just tell people they're gonna get pregnant because that ruins the surprise. But I do think that in cases like that, your ARC reader team is going to be very, very crucial for you because you don't necessarily want to make your graphics or your videos talking about your book saying, oh, there's surprise pregnancy, and then ruin the surprise. But your ARC readers, they'll have their own way of communicating with their people. A lot of ARC readers are book bloggers or they're bookstagrammers or book talkers, and they might have a large platform or a small platform. Either one is fine, but they'll have their own way of talking to their followers that will let them know what to expect in books. There are certain book bloggers who will tell you all of the spoilers. So that way, if you want the spoilers, you want to be spoiled before you go in, you can go to their page and read the spoilers. And that way, people who maybe really hate that trope will be able to go there and find it. It'll make its way through the grapevine. People will know that there is pregnancy in the book. So this one is a little different because I don't necessarily think that there's any one right answer for how to handle this because of the fact that there are so many different perspectives and so many different reasons people might dislike it or like it. So, sorry, my other videos are far more decisive on these matters. This one's not decisive, so sorry about that. My other ones will be. Just this is the only one that's not very decisive. So I think if you're putting, I'm not trying to tell people not to put pregnancy in their books. I think that you just need to market it correctly and really let your street team and your ARC team take it from there and let them tell the readers. I mean, people will figure it out through the grapevine, through talking about books with other readers, and through engaging with book reviewers that they trust. So there's a certain point where, yeah, if you want it to be an actual surprise, then you need to take a step back and let the street team readers and reviewers take it from there for you. But if it's a big part of the book, I mean, there's some books out there where it's like I forget the name of it, but it was a divorced couple and they got back together for a one night stand and they got pregnant, and that was the inciting incident for the book. So of course that's going to be in the book blurb. That's going to be in the description. That's different. People will know going into it. So again, sorry this one is not very cut and dry like my other ones, but I think that this is something that people take very, very personally because pregnancy, birthing children, not being able to birth children is all very personal. So it makes sense that people would take it personally. So if you're a writer, I think you just need to kind of be sensitive of that. I don't know if that's the right term, but just be cognizant of it when you're doing your marketing and maybe let your street team know, or just like kind of let your ARC team know going into it and kind of let them take it from there for you. I think a good strong ARC team can really help with marketing because the ARC team will pick out certain things that their readers or their follower base will expect or not expect or like or dislike. So I think that's going to be really important if you're writing it. And just if you're writing it in your book, just know that be prepared that you might get a lot of negative reviews because of it. And it's not necessarily because you did anything wrong, it's because a lot of people just don't like it. So, again, sorry this is a little bit more of a ramble, but I think I've said that a couple times now. All right, if you want to have me cover another trope about how to write it, how not to write it, or people's reactions to it, let me know in the comments. I have a couple more trope videos planned. The next one I'm going to do is going to be enemies to lovers. That one's going to be a little bit longer and much more decisive than this video. This video was not very decisive, sorry. But enemies to lovers is next. I post roughly once a week, so if you have a suggestion, I might not get to it right away, but I will do my best to get to it in a timely fashion. So if there's a trope that you absolutely hate or you absolutely love that you want me to talk about, drop a comment below.